Hi everybody, so in this video I want to talk about whether a handheld gaming PC is a good entry into the world of PC specific gaming and whether one of these types of devices is a good first gaming PC. So what we've got here is we've got the Steam Deck OLED. This is my Steam Deck OLED that I bought just after Christmas. Very, very nice. And what we have behind it is a Asus ROG Ally non-extreme version, which Asus UK have very kindly lent me to play around with for a few weeks. This one's got Fallout 3 running, and this one's got Resident Revelations 2 running, both running very nicely, but that's by the by. So I've got some quite strong feelings about this. And it's also important to remember there is no definitive or even there is no really correct answer to this question, because anything you choose is going to be a compromise at the moment. There isn't like a perfect device for this. But here's what I think. So I think the Steam Deck OLED, or the Steam Deck in general, is a fantastic gaming device. But I think it's really suited to people who have already got like a gaming laptop or a gaming PC and a mature Steam library where they've got lots of games on it. And this is an extra accessory you would buy in addition to that. So in the same way that you would buy maybe a VR headset or a really flash nice big monitor, you get a Steam Deck so you can play your Steam games on the go. It's not great as a first Windows PC, it's not Windows machine, as a first gaming PC because it's not Windows. It's Steam OS, which is a Linux-based system, which means that it's harder, and it's not always a trivial matter to get certain games running. Certain games just won't run, and also different launchers for different games as well. Now, there are ways of accessing the Epic Game Store and GOG and things like that with things like the Heroic Launcher app, but it's not simple to do. And what happens is it works great, but then when it doesn't, you kind of scratch your head, and sometimes games just don't work, and you're like, oh, this is a real pain. So that's the catch with the Steam Deck. Great screen, great battery life, smooth gameplay, amazing console-like operating system, which really does, make it feel like, when you turn this on that it is a console. But I don't think it's great as a first gaming PC. Then we get onto something like the ROG Ally. Now, the beauty with the ROG Ally is that if we press the right button, not that button, we can, as you can see here, we have got, in fact, let's move this so you can see it a little bit better. That's better, isn't it? As you can see, this is a Windows 11 PC. That's what the ROG Ally is. And I think if you are on a budget and you want to get into want to get into PC gaming, you could consider something like the ROG Ally. Now, this is the non-extreme version, so it has the lower powered processor. So, it's not the best option, but it is interesting because, as you can see here, I've got Steam, I've got Xbox, and obviously the beauty with the Xbox is that if you've got the if you install Xbox app and you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, especially Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you have access to all the Game Pass games that you can install to it, and you can also do Xbox Cloud streaming as well. He said, let's make that bigger there as well. So that is a fantastically important thing. In PC gaming, you've also got Galaxy here. We've also got the Epic Game Launcher. Any game launcher we could put onto this. We could play Escape from Tarkov. Might not run that well, but we could put it on. We have all of these options with something like this. Now, the power of that is through Windows and Windows 11, because this is just a Windows PC. The catch, of course, is you don't get the handheld performance like you get out of a Steam Deck. So the battery life isn't particularly good. The interface is Windows, so it's a bit of a compromise in terms of moving around. I mean, it's touchscreen, but tapping on things. Windows isn't designed for a small screen. Maybe at some point, maybe even by the time we watch this video, Microsoft have come out with a version of Windows that is optimized for small devices, specific for gaming devices, and that will be very, very cool. But until then, that's a little bit of a compromise too. Both devices can be plugged into a dock, and then you can plug them into a keyboard and mouse and plug them into a monitor as well, so you can run them that way. And that's where things start getting interesting. Especially when it comes to the price of the ROG Ally non-extreme version. Now, unfortunately, in the UK, you can't buy it at the moment, but in America, you can. And from Best Buy in America, you can buy the non-extreme version of the Ally for $400, which is about £350. And then all of a sudden, you've got this very interesting situation where, say, you're on a really tight budget, but you want to get into Windows gaming. You could pick up a ROG Ally non-extreme version for $400. You set it to 720p, so you get decent performance. You can then install the Epic Game Launcher in Steam, so you can start buying Steam games in the Steam sale. You can start getting the free games that Epic release every week, and building up your collection that way. You can pick up a cheap monitor, cheap wireless keyboard and mouse, a cheap dock, and plug it in. And all of a sudden, for say you spent $500, say even $600 on all the accessories, you would then have a device that actually could run older games at 720p on a 24-inch monitor, which doesn't look that bad anyway. And in fact, you could probably buy a smaller monitor because it'd be cheaper. And you would be into PC gaming without the restriction of the Steam Deck having its Linux operating system. So I think that's something definitely worth thinking about. Again, it does depend on the games you play. Obviously, if you're just playing indie games all the time, that are only released on Steam, then you're gonna get a Steam Deck. But if you want to play, the likes of Cyberpunk 2077, and you bought it from the GOG Galaxy, or some of the Epic games, or say something like Alan Wake 2, probably wouldn't run that well, but at low settings and something like that, you want the options of Windows, I think this is the way to go. So to kind of sum things up then, there isn't a correct answer to this, because both ways do have significant compromises. But I would say if you've already got a gaming PC, then the Steam Deck is an absolutely fantastic option and a great device to have. But if you do want one of these devices as your first gaming PC, and as a way into PC gaming, I think you should seriously consider something like the ROG Ally. And again, if you're on a real budget, the non-extreme version at Best Buy for $400, just accept the fact that you've got to turn it down to 720p, could be a really budget way of doing that. Anyway, what do you think? Put your questions and comments down below, and of course, I'll see you again soon.